What is the significance of the number 7? As far as we are concerned, in this video, there are 7 primary radio frequencies produced by the Earth's core, and these are called the Schumann resonance frequencies, which operate in the low range of 7.83 Hertz. The significance of which relates to the fact that two-way 7-band radios also operate in the 7-band range, just like the Earth's electromagnetic Schumann resonance field, but in the more powerful megahertz range. This means that the Earth produces the same type of electromagnetic field as a two-way radio, the significance of which you probably can deduce yourself. Another significant 7 factoid is that humans produce 7 primary chakra and aura colors. And the suns in our universe are divided into 7 classifications, with the chakra and aura colors produced by our bodies more or less perfectly corresponding to the 7 spectral classes of suns, as we bear in mind that scientists have recently invented what are called 7-band charged coupled device chips, aka CCD chips, which are substitutes for camera film that turn analog signals into digital signals, as we bear in mind that the planets and living moons are electromagnetically charged just like CCD chips, which I think include complementary metal oxide and digital lens reflex chips, that we are comparing the coloring and geochemical composition of the planets to, with me using the compound eyes of insects as comparative examples to help me convince you that the planets in our solar system are part of some kind of optical imaging system merged with some kind of radio communications and control system that is posing as natural phenomena. And what we have to remember about the similarities of insect eyes in these camera and telescope and microscope and sensor chips and lenses and so forth is that they are all super sensitive to the different colors of the color spectrum, which includes thermal and night vision sensors and lenses, and this includes hyperspectral imaging chip filters. The same could be said of the eyes of insects, as we bear in mind that the colors of optical lenses and chips and insect eyes have everything to do with the electromagnetic spectra they are designed to pick up. As we also bear in mind that the geochemical composition of the planets in our solar system and beyond is more or less identical to the chemical composition of optical and electronic equipment of any kind, which includes lots of silicon, metals, and their respective oxides and dioxides, with the gas giant outer planets being the only examples I will use at this point. And we can see that the similarities in colors are uncanny compared to the technologies we are comparing them to. And where I am going in this and my other videos that I have posted on YouTube is that if humans are being observed and manipulated by a god or gods, which would be extraterrestrials of some kind, then what you are seeing and hearing in this video is how this observation and manipulation is being facilitated. And there are no two ways about this. This is the only logical explanation. What is especially significant is that the atmospheric texturing of the gas giant planets appear to produce the same patterns as those in optical color filter sensors, as well as the same patterns of the ommatidia and biological lens structures of compound insect eyes. We can also see that the atmospheric In electrical storms on the gas giant planets, with Jupiter being the only example I could find on the internet, appear to produce the same patterns as the sensor lattices on CCD, CMOS, and DSLR chips, as well as insect eye ommatidia, which is the primary part of insect eye lenses. We can see with our own eyes the similarities, and this includes the fact that the internal core structures of the planets appear to match the location of the optic nerves in the insect eye, as we can see with our own eyes. The Earth and the rest of the inner planets appear to be no exception to this structure and dynamics. As we bear in mind once again that the planets and the living moons are electromagnetically charged, just like these optical technologies we are comparing the living planets and moons to, the Earth and the rest of the inner planets appear to be no exception to this structure and dynamic, and you can explore this in some of my other videos. So the next time you look up at the planets at night, remember that the Earth might be some kind of optical, magnetic, electric, microsphere, biosensor, like these examples here, respectively, whereby Earth's planetary neighbors might be some kind of cameras or sensors that are picking up optical signals from us, or from the stars for that matter, and relaying these signals to us, as you bear in mind a relatively new biosensing technology that is called cavity-enhanced spectroscopy and sensing, including optical microcavity based sensing and surface plasmon resonance based sensors, with Earth's Schumann resonance field cavity falling nicely into place here, with the space between the surface of the Earth and the ionosphere serving as the waveguide, not unlike the waveguides used by optical cavity biosensors like the ones you see here, with the sun serving as the obvious light source and the moon perhaps serving as the optical sensor unit in these examples, with Earth's magnetic belts perhaps serving as some kind of waveguide or resonator ring for the microsphere biosensor we call the Earth. Whatever the case, the electromagnetic field lines produced by humans in the Earth and the Sun and our Milky Way galaxy are identical to the electromagnetic field coils in these radio transceiver rings in a system of electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields, with our solar system at large appearing to in part play the role as a radio transceiver unit of some kind, including a relay unit, with our sun playing the role as a plasma router of some kind, as you bear in mind that the sun is made of gas plasma, whose electromagnetic field engulfs and affects the moods and behavior of humans and life at large, with our auras and chakras perhaps serving as optical and photonic antennas of some kind. While I don't claim to know for sure that our auras and chakras are optical and photonic antennas, they sure are colored like them, and they are shaped like them, as we also bear in mind that the sun certainly generates radio waves in addition to being internally structured like these spherical antennas, with the same being said of the Earth and the rest of the living planets and moons in our solar system and the universe at large, in addition to producing radio waves like radio equipment, and there are no two ways about this. The visible and invisible structure and dynamics of the suns and the planets and moons are identical to that of spherical antennas, as we can see with our own eyes. with me throwing these examples of the dynamics of two-way communications to help me make my point that the relationship between the Earth and the Sun is the same dynamic as two-way radio communications. The same could be said of the dynamic between the Earth and humans, as we can see in these examples of their respective interactions with each other and humans, as we bear in mind once again that humans are biological antennas. So what we have here is a system of electromagnetic fields that are the same as those produced by radio transceiver equipment. And what is a system that is best described as a system of radio signals inside radio signals inside radio signals. Electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields, which are the same type that are produced by radio remote control units, by the way. With humans, the Earth, the Sun, and our Milky Way at large being different parts of the same network, I believe, that is made of multiple units. So it appears. And this would include the electric component of humans compared to electric antennas, which would include the electric field produced by the electric Earth, the electric Sun, the electric Milky Way, and the galaxies and planets and so forth at large, in what appears to be some kind of hybrid electromagnetic communication and control system that defies the imagination. And this would also include the magnetic fields of a magnetic control system of some kind, as we also bear in mind that galaxies like our Milky Way are magnetic, and our Sun is also magnetic, and the Earth is also magnetic, and with the human body supposedly producing a weak magnetic force called biomagnetism, in a concept that corresponds to the concept of magnetic communications and magnetic control systems. With Earth's magnetic Van Allen radiation belts appearing to be playing the role as a magnetic loop antenna of some kind, and with the human brain supposedly harboring tiny built-in magnetic antennas, as we bear in mind that the solar system at large produces electromagnetic radio waves like remote control radio antennas, as do stars, pulsars, black holes, galaxies, etc. The system I described earlier of electromagnetic fields inside electromagnetic fields, radio signals inside radio signals, is a mirror image of the dynamics of what is called a source relay destination system. With ourselves, the Earth, the Sun, and the black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy appearing to be the primary components of the source relay destination system, I am going to start wrapping up this video by pointing out the striking similarities between our Milky Way galaxy compared to this generic communication system that is a mirror image of the Milky Way, especially when we consider the location of our solar system relative to this image we're looking at. The Milky Way also appears to be a mirror image of an Archimedes spiral antenna with the antenna elements arranged inside, with the antenna elements being the stars. The Milky Way also appears to be a mirror image of what is called an optical ring network on chip device, with the black holes, stars, planets, and so forth arranged inside the Milky Way like the components in this device, including computers, routers, interfaces, etc., etc., with the ring structure of the Milky Way serving as the optical waveguides, as you bear in mind that optical ring network on chips have applications in biology and the tracking of large populations of organisms, genes, and particulates over extended periods of time, while also bearing in mind that the stars and black holes appear to be playing respective roles as routers and computer processors, gateways, and gateway interfaces and so forth, as just mentioned. I would also like to factor in the fact that our Milky Way galaxy also is a mirror image of what is called a lab-on-chip and disk device, plus other technologies that I did not include in this video. And I am sure that you can deduce what lab-on-chip and lab-on-disk devices are used for, sparing me the trouble of an explanation. And with our solar system being just in the right place in its mathematically perfect location in our Milky Way galaxy, as we note the location of the inlet and outlet valves in these examples of lab-on disk and chip devices relative to the location of the black hole at the center of our Milky Way. And with me going off on a tangent here, and not very eloquently, in response to some comments I have had from some of my viewers who strongly recommended that I look into the so-called Gnostic religion. Therefore, I have included a few tidbits that correspond to the Gnostic theology, insofar that the center of our Milky Way, according to Gnosticism, is supposedly some kind of intelligent feminine entity made of pure plasma that reached out and created the Earth, as we bear in mind that black holes are supposedly some kind of computers, according to Scientific American magazine, which would render the black hole at the center of our Milky Way some kind of artificially intelligent entity. Gnosticism also postulates that humans are the equivalent of farmed livestock who are being controlled and fed on by hyperdimensional parasites called archons, who feed on our life force somehow. If this is the case, then the technologies we are comparing our galaxy to would in part be how this control and feeding process is being facilitated, with not just humans as victims, but probably other sentient life forms in the galaxy. If this is the case, then the only way for humans to neutralize the so-called archons, if they even exist, is to first recognize that the Milky Way in the universe at large is pure technology, and that the so-called archons, if they exist, would also likely be extremely cowardly, immaterial, ethereal, shape-shifting beings of pure energy whose control over humans would be lost if humans were to recognize our Milky Way in the universe at large as some kind of technological grid and act accordingly. As you bear in mind that the chemical composition and electromagnetic dynamics of the universe at large are the same as electronic equipment, including computer equipment, communications equipment, and sensor equipment, and you can look this up on the internet and see for yourself, by the way. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, share, and hit the notification button so you can receive a notification every time I upload a new video.